Cowboys. They lost another game, and another quarterback, Andy Dalton, took this vicious hit from Washington's John Bostic in the third quarter. He will now be out with a concussion. Head coach Mike McCarthy not happy that none of Dalton's teammates, this was bad, went after Bostic, was ejected from the game. Dallas is now 2-5, but still only a half game out of first because it's the NFC East, and it's a joke. Keyshawn's still here with us. Stephen A., in all honesty, where do the Cowboys go from here?
Oh, in the gutter. They're horrible. They're atrocious. We all know this. And, you know, I can have fun on a Sunday afternoon mocking them and making fun at them. But in all seriousness, it's a bad situation. I don't think that Mike McCarthy should last the season. I think that, you know, what you're looking at, I'm not challenging in any way his football knowledge. He's a coach. He's a Super Bowl champion. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can look at certain teams, man, and see players, they ain't feeling their coach. They don't want to play for him. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about his X's and O's, his knowledge about football. He does not resonate with these players. You can see they don't want to play for him. Then I got to bring in Jerry Jones, and I'm certainly not going to take credit away from Max Kellerman here, who's been on the harping about Jerry Jones. I think that players look at somebody like Dak Prescott, who has balled, and you can talk about the money that they offered Dak Prescott, but when you don't take care of him, they know you ain't trying to really take care of anybody. You got cats with their contracts and stuff like that, but the bottom line is you got to take care of the man, especially when that man who was performing and had you having the #1 passing attack in the NFL is also your quintessential leader. I mean, does everything right as a leader for you. Then you got a guy like Ezekiel Elliott who is regressing before our very eyes. Fumbling the ball, causing interceptions because balls are bouncing off his chest. He can't catch, he can't run, can't block. And then he talking about being a leader and then come out there in the nation's capital and stink up the joint the way that he did. And then I want to say this. When your backup quarterback is chewing out the offensive line, you know it's bad. Now, you got injuries now. But, I mean, Andy Dalton was all over them. And guess what? He was right. Because that brother couldn't take one step back before Montez Sweat, and these boys were all over him, okay? And then the hit on Bostic. First of all, let me say this to Bostic. He's a veteran. You should be ashamed of yourself. Seriously. I'm not trying to castigate him overall. I don't know him as a person.
That was a terrible hit.
But that hit, you're a veteran in this league. You know better. I think he should be suspended for at least next week. I think he should be confiscated this game's check and next week's check. Yes, I'm talking about taking money out of a brother's pocket.
2 games suspension at least.
I'm just saying, he needs to pay for that. He had no business doing that. Even his coach, Ron Rivera, told him he do that. And then for not a single Cowboy to confront Bostic as well. I mean, talk about...
That's
first
the part that's so concerning.
Your awful defense. You got Trayvon Diggs talking smack to McLaurin and then let McLaurin blow right by him for a damn bomb for a touchdown pass, okay? Your defense stink. You can't get pressure on the quarterback. You can't cover in the secondary. You can't defend against the run. You give up 208 yards. And then on top of it all, you soft as tissue when it comes to Bostic hitting your quarterback like that. The Dallas Cowboys are a mess. I'm upset, Max, because I like to laugh at them. But there is nothing about them that is funny because they're so damn pathetic.
Can I just say one thing? Bostic is not expected to be suspended. That according
he should
to
miss
2 games.
suspended.
He should be suspended.
Apparently.
You just covered everything. Let me re-examine some of those points.
Sure.
1, the Bostic hit was awful. 2 game suspension to me is obvious. And the fact that the team did nothing, Key, you're going to have to explain that to me in a minute, because they did nothing. They just watched their leader, supposedly, get laid out on a dirty hit. No one did anything. It tells you a lot. 2, I want to talk about Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy. Well, before I do, real quick, Ezekiel Elliott leads all NFL running backs in fumbles, drops, and quarterback hits allowed.
Wow.
Okay? He's not. You know how I get on Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz not the worst quarterback. He's like a mid-pack quarterback to me. But you're getting paid to be a top 5 quarterback. You're not playing that way. Ezekiel Elliott, same thing. People criticize big contracts for running backs. This is why. Like, they use you up early, and then by the time you get paid, they think you're not worth it anymore. Ezekiel Elliott's paid to overcome problems on the offensive line, to carry your team if you need him to, and he has not been able to do that. But the biggest problem is absolutely Mike McCarthy. What do I always say about Jerry Jones? Jerry and Stephen Jones do a solid job as NFL GMs, which is saying a lot, because most of the GMs have to work their way to that position. They just get to be GMs because they bought the team and they get to play with their shiny toy, right? But they average about 8.5 wins a year over the last 10 years. That's better than most. It's a little bit a tick above average. They hired Mike McCarthy. Why? What I say when they hired McCarthy. They hire a coach that gives them the sense that he's a head coach, but really you can push him around, right? Like he'll appease the fan base after Jason Garrett, who wasn't experienced as a head coach, got the job. Everyone's complaining, well, we'll get you a guy who really looks like a head coach and he'll give us the feeling, and he has Super Bowl pedigree. And what kind of nonsense did they try to sell us? Well, he realizes he needs to learn more about analytics. You know what Kim Jones, the reporter for Yes Network for years, Stephen A. on the Yankees and everything, she did a report on Mike McCarthy, said his analytics have shown, he's done some research, he's shown, when you get to 4 division wins, you're more likely to win the division. You mean to tell me, Mike McCarthy,
pathetic.
that out of the 6 games you play in the division, if you win more than 50% of them, you're more likely to win the division? What about 5 wins? Might as well get, how about this? Just imagine 6 wins in the division. Oh my God, you're practically a lock. Like this, but that's the extent of his analytics that was packaged as nonsense to try to justify putting a guy in there that could really be a Jerry Jones puppet. Or at least a guy like for window dressing, right? Like, here's our head coach. Fans, are you happy now? And we've done such a good job drafting and developing that we'll be able to win because we have the talent. No, you didn't. No, you don't. McCarthy wasn't a good hire. Nothing against Mike McCarthy, but the reason you hired him wasn't good. And until Jerry Jones can put his ego aside and hire a head coach who might get some credit if they win, the Cowboys will never win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I look at it a couple ways. Yes, Bostic should be suspended, no question about it. And if I'm his teammate, if I'm Andy Dalton's teammate, I'm probably suspended along with Bostic today because I'm going at him. I don't care if I play receiver, lineman, defensive line, assistant coach. If I'm a part of what was going on yesterday, I'm in the middle. We throwing blows. You have to protect your teammate, man. You can't allow that to happen and then just stand there like, oh, they just hit our quarterback.
What does that tell you?
Me personally, I think that is a reflection of the personality of the head coach. That's just me. Now, I could be totally wrong because I can think about guys. Would that happen to a Harbaugh coach team? No. Well, a Bill Parcells coach team, a Rex Ryan coach team,
let me stop.
Because of the personality.
You played for Bill Parcells.
Yes.
You played for John Gruden.
Yes.
You understand?
Bill Parcells.
When you talk about the personality of the coaches, what would their personality have been on a play like that?
Oh, they would have basically allowed that to happen. I could go back to the late Terry Glenn. We played the Cleveland Browns, and Earl Little dove on Terry Glenn after Terry caught the ball. And then Stephen A. and Max Molly, I was probably 30 yards away, and I saw it. Man, I ran, sprinted, and, I hauled off and kicked him real good. Now, I took points off the board because I got the penalty, but at the end of the day, everybody knew why I did it because Terry wasn't going to defend himself. He was just laying there. And so...
And what would a guy like Parcells tell you after a play like that?
Well, he just said, that was stupid. You just took points off the board, but I understand why you did it. And I got it. I understand that. But now when you talk about the team in itself and Mike McCarthy, I said it 4 weeks ago. I said if the Dallas Cowboys miss the playoffs and they win 5 or 6 games, they need to hit the reset button. And I know money is tied up, but if I'm $5-6 billion, what is $20 million?
But you're saying fire McCarthy now?
No, I'll wait till the end of the season.
No.
The end of the season.
You said I don't care whether it's not the end of the season.
Yeah, end of the season.
What I'm saying to you is he is clearly not the right
answer.
coach.
Not the answer.
For this franchise.
Not the answer.
I want to be clear. I'm not saying that Mike McCarthy can't be a head coach.
No, but not the answer for this franchise.
He is not the right coach for this team.
So what you do if you Jerry Jones and you Stephen Jones and you the Jones family is you figure out who is the right guy. Okay? And when you hired him, I thought it was a good hire. But head coaches are as good as their assistants. And if you're not, if you don't put the right, if you putting the right assistants together, you can win a whole lot of games. But his assistants aren't very good.
A guy like Jimmy Johnson, what Jerry Jones didn't like is Jimmy Johnson had a big ego and he was taking credit. So watch this. I'll get Barry Switzer. Anyone can win. Yeah, with Jimmy Johnson's team. But since the end of Jimmy Johnson's team, they haven't won. He brings in Bill Parcells. Parcells, big ego, big personality.
Started in the right direction, then eventually he soured because Bill was starting to get the credit for making the team over.
So what I'm saying is Jerry Jones will make another hire, but he'll make sure one thing is certain. Whoever the hire is, that dude ain't getting credit if they win. It's going to be Jerry who gets credit.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second to be fair to Mike McCarthy. Dak Prescott did go down.
Yes, the
So
offensive line is hurt.
And I understand that the defensive coordinator is not good. I understand they're setting negative records right now. But is it really fair to judge him that he's the issue when they don't have Dak and the team to take care of Dak?
Molly,
Isn't that ownership?
Here's what I would say, Molly. You go back to when Dak was healthy. Think about it. When he was healthy. If it wasn't for the Atlanta Falcons, they may only have 1 win.
They would have started off 0-4.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the Atlanta Falcons. And if you remember, Molly, the first thing that I said to call out Mike McCarthy was, how do you get the job with the Dallas Cowboys and you hire Mike Nolan as your defensive coordinator when they were the 31st ranked defense in Atlanta in 2014 and he couldn't get another coordinator job until you brought him on 6 years later?
Because I was your offensive coordinator in San Francisco.
That's my point.
It's a buddy-buddy deal.
And that's why you got to go. And that's exactly why you got to go. You got to be about production first.
But you know how the league is,
and that's why the league's got a problem. That's why the league's got a problem.
You're going to hire who you know.
Who you know, not who's best. And I've never understood, if you're the boss, you're the head coach, right? Why am I worried? I mean, you got to answer to me. It ain't the other way around. So I'm going to take the most competent individual because I'm not worried about
he thought he was
the subordinate needs to be worried about me.
It's more damning than that. You take who you know because you believe what you know is the right way to do it. You believe that, so McCarthy's way of doing it, and then they package this, he gets the analytics now thing, wasn't working in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't working at the end, right? Because the league is constantly evolving. And if you're Belichick or Tomlin or Andy Reid or someone who can keep up with the times and keep evolving yourself, you can continue to be great. And if you can't, you can't. And McCarthy has not been able to. That's why we're in.
If I was Jerry Nim, I'd blow it up and go get Jim Harbaugh and call it a day. That's just me.
Jim Harbaugh?
I like him as an NFL coach. I'm just saying. I like him. I just like him in the NFL.
That was a long